this ADCC has been a little bit different.
Power slap's crazy. I would like to see celebrities do power slap.
So you've trained with everyone in the jiu-jitsu community.
Jiu Jitsu nomad. Life is learning and growing.
Car jiu-jitsu. Have you ever been approached for that?
No, I haven't been approached yet.
Well, we talked about it yesterday, dude. I want to do some more competitions. BETR already has the craziest multipliers in the industry, and we're taking it up a level. We're taking it up. It's going to be insane. 1,000x multipliers. You heard me right. 1,000x. All you got to do is add 4 boosts to your lineup. Not even that many. 4 boosts to your lineup, and get ready to win big. BETR has the UFC, so you can already lock me in there as a boost. We got the NBA, the NFL, the NHL, the MLB. They're all live in the app. Go download BETR. Use code BO. 1,000x. Win you some money.
Welcome back to Nickals and Dimes. Our guest today comes from Down Under, or better known as Australia. He is a 2-time ADCC Trial Champion and Brown Belt World Champion. He trains out of New Wave Jiu Jitsu under Coach John Danaher and is going to be competing in ADCC's August 16th and 17th to become a world champion. He has told me that bloomin' onions aren't actually from Australia. Please welcome to the show, Izaak Michell. How you doing, man?
Thanks for having us. Cheers.
Absolutely, bro.
Yeah, I'm not currently training under Mr. Danaher right now, but I have been a part of their team in the past. But
yeah, so you've trained with everyone in the jiu-jitsu community, right?
Yeah,
At this point, pretty much.
Jiu-jitsu nomad, for sure. Yeah.
Would you say you're well liked within the jiu-jitsu community?
I think, yeah, everyone except one person. I'm pretty well liked, for sure. I think I keep good relationships with everyone and try not to burn any bridges, and I like everyone in the jiu-jitsu community. So, yeah, hopefully I am. Yeah, I like to think so.
Well, we like you. We're glad you're out here training, bro.
Thank you so much.
It's been cool to have you out in State College, teaching me a bunch of jiu-jitsu and stuff. So I haven't been able to train much, but hopefully we'll get to get a couple training sessions in before ADCC. How you feeling overall with the competition coming up and everything?
Yeah, I think this ADCC has been a little bit different just because that second event CJI came in, and then some people coming in and out of the division and leading into it. But I'm still really excited, and my focus has just kept the same the whole time. And coming out here has been like an absolute pleasure for me and a blessing, really. So all the guys here at Penn State are incredible people, and then the level of wrestling is like nothing I've seen before. So it's been unreal.
Have you trained with many wrestlers before?
No, not really. When I was in Australia, it was my first experience with wrestling. Mm-hmm. One of my wrestling coaches, Jakub Kacinac, he's from Slovakia. He's 3-time or 2-time Slovakian national champion and 8th in the world championships. Sweet. And he kind of has the same body type as Sidakov and like mimics a lot of Sidakov's game.
Got it.
So I was learning that style of wrestling from the get-go immediately. So
nice.
Before that, I was in the gi, and then I was a leg locker, and then I decided to stop pulling guard, and
it's good. It's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Running pulls guard.
Yeah,
I have no shame.
He's a guard puller.
Yeah, and then I started wrestling the last 2.5 years or so. And I'm really enjoying wrestling. Often I tell people I prefer wrestling over jiu-jitsu these days.
Yeah. I mean, you fit right in. You fit right in the Penn State practices. So
yeah, definitely.
I like it a lot.
Did you say you want to do a wrestling competition potentially?
Yeah, I want to qualify for the Olympics, the next Olympics, which is in LA. So
yeah,
I wrestle one of the guys going into the Olympics now, and he's a really good wrestler. But I can have access to that guy Jakub, who I mentioned before, was the head coach of the Australian Olympic team as well. So
that's awesome.
I know some of the guys in the community in Australia, but I do think it wouldn't be. Obviously, it's a lot different for me to qualify than for you guys to qualify. Being American, it's just a different standard to qualify. Yeah, different competition completely.
So you would have to basically make the win the Australian Nationals, and then place, I believe it would be top 2 in the whatever.
Pan Ams or
No,
No?
it's just Australia, isn't it? Because Australia's a
oh
continent.
wow.
We have
How does it work? Is it
we
Oceania or
have
something?
some of Oceania, so Kazakhstan,
Oh,
and we
okay.
also have Africa.
Africa. It's all in
So
one.
usually after the Africans usually beat us. Like
Really?
generally the Australians are a little bit more technical, but they're like have been known to be like more physical and stronger than the guys.
Right.
And they've just been able to like just beat us going usually. So it's the first time in a while we've got 2 Australian people competing in freestyle wrestling.
Yeah.
One of those is a Russian guy though.
Oh, he's a
He's,
dissect.
he's I'm not sure about Dagestan, but
Wait,
he's like a what's it
65.
65 I think. Yeah, and the
65
other
kilos.
guy's the 80 86 is it?
So you would do 86 kilo.
Yeah, or the one below 74.
You could make 163 pounds, 74
I
kilo.
think if 4 years time.
Pretty big.
4 years time and start the cut now. We can get
That'd be sick though, bro.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
it would be cool just to go there, and I think it's
Need
like,
help? I can get that for you.
Yeah, please.
Here, you take this one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is great water. I've been drinking this since I arrived at Penn
Yeah,
State.
it's good, huh? Spirit water.
Spirit water.
Good branding.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's like a realistic goal, just
Definitely.
because the competition isn't very high. Like for example, Lachlan Giles is a national champion in freestyle wrestling in Australia.
Right.
So
Gotcha.
he learned a bit of wrestling and was able to win the national level. So it puts into perspective, like we don't really have any wrestling.
Yeah.
Got
Well,
it.
well, if you train with us, I guarantee you we could help you out, and you'll make the team for sure.
Yeah.
2028 LA would be sick.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. So hopefully ADCC goes well, and then I'm gonna compete for the Who's Number One title right after ADCC. So they're calling me up. I think it's against Jonathan Gracie, who's a Andre Gavel black belt.
Okay.
He's got the belt right now, and then I'll go compete for that belt, and then kind of leave my options open. And I've dabbled with the idea of MMA or freestyle wrestling just to switch things up.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. It'd be fun. So ADCC, who's number one, and then you're thinking that you kind of want to try to do something new after that.
Yeah, I think I've been doing jiu-jitsu now for 10 years, and
Just pretty crazy. That's not like that long.
I started when I was 16.
Yeah.
16, and at the time I just didn't know what else to do. So I just I liked training, would go to training, and that was as far as I knew. Just kept going to training every day, and that kind of one foot in front of the other turned into a career later on in life. But I think I had a little bit this gym, that gym, like the DDS split. I was there during all of that, and then I was at B team, and then there was another not a split, but there was people that left as well, and I was a part of those people, and then just like the jiu-jitsu community, I think I love everyone that I know in the jiu-jitsu community that I've met and stuff, but there's also a good portion of people that just are group thinkers and stuff like that, and like for example, a lot of people if you're liked or you're not liked, dependent on different things, like people will message you on Instagram like you're this, you're that, and I think wrestling culture is a lot nicer than the jiu-jitsu culture, and that's kind of the reasoning.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
No, that makes sense. I feel like I identify that with that a lot, just being in MMA now, because I miss the wrestling culture.
Mm-hmm.
Like even if you're competing against each other, there's just such a respect. And even if you don't like somebody, like you kind of even deep down respect them a little more, and people just don't take things as far or get as crazy with the trash talk and stuff. And I think people are just a little more,
So the Wild West. And
yeah, for sure. People are a little in wrestling, like there's just more respect and more like high character values type people that, I don't know. I see that a lot, like in fighting, because people say crazy stuff and just to get attention or whatnot. And there's something about wrestling where you really don't have the opportunity to make millions of dollars no matter what, unless you're getting paid by the government in like a
school
Russian.
situation.
No, well, I guess the NIL now. I guess you can, but I was thinking more like in Russia or some of the Azerbaijan's, these countries. It's like if you win, you get crazy.
Yeah,
they give you land.
They
and
give you cars and
right.
Yeah, they treat you well over there.
Yeah, but I guess for the most part, for the way that wrestling has always been, is like you really can't make that much money off it. Now I guess NIL, we'll see how that affects things long term, but I definitely feel like the culture's super positive.
Yeah, much more of a family culture as well. I think a good example of that is like when I'm seeing Nolf teach camps, it's all kids and families, and that's generally the environment that you're going to get. But if I teach a seminar, it's all pretty much adults that are coming by themselves, and there's a lot more like less families, probably definitely less kids, I would say as well, and that probably has an effect. But it's also not governed by any like governing body, so there's not Olympic sport. There's just random organizations popping up and then offering like the best guys in the world. Oh, we'll pay you this much money to be a part of the competition. So that it's like the Wild West. It's just a free for all, pretty much. So that's probably why. Different crowd.
It's honestly, it makes jiu-jitsu a little hard to follow. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I watch a lot, and I feel like, I mean, I know most of the really good guys, but there's still a lot of good guys that I'm like, I don't know. And I definitely don't know like who's competing when or what competition, other than ADCC. It's like, I don't really know like what's coming up that's big.
Yeah, I don't really know either. And I'm like, I'm in it too. So it's confusing for me as well, like being a competitor, because if we're competing every month, it's a different rule set. So I went to Kazakhstan, and it was a completely different rule set, 3 5-minute rounds, and then next month competed in London and Polaris, which is completely different time, completely different rule set again. So it's really hard to like hone into one rule set and get really good at that. But I've made an effort to make that ADCC, and I think a lot of the other guys have as well, and that's why we do consider it like the Olympics of our sport, ADCC as well.
Do you think there should be one uniform rule set for jiu-jitsu in general? Like even though there's a bunch of different promotions and whatnot, they should stick to one rule set?
I think so. I think that would help us as the competitors and the athletes as well. But the thing is, like, for example, like Eddie Bravo made EBI, and then he created the rule set, and like a lot of his guys got really good at the rule set.
Right.
So a lot of like it was 10th Planet guys winning the EBI events a lot of the time, and then the DDS guys started to learn the rule set, and then they started to take over, and then the rule set might change, and then they made combat jiu-jitsu, so it's like the same now. There's slaps.
Would you do that?
I would do it. That'd be fun.
Have they asked you to?
I just didn't have the timing aligned. Eddie messaged me and asked me to do one of the middleweight events.
Is it just like a super match, or is it
it's a tournament?
It's a tournament.
It's a
combat jiu-jitsu tournament.
Wow. Some of the guys like Ty Rotolo has done it.
Really?
Yeah,
Did he
won.
Win?
I think he won. Roberto Jimenez, the other guys has done it. He won as well.
Wow.
I think any like one of these like world-class black belts, if they do this combat jiu-jitsu, they generally do win, even not really training like the slap situation. They just add it in and work it out on the spot.
Do you think it would be competitive with like a high-level MMA grappler versus a jiu-jitsu specialist in combat jiu-jitsu? Like, would that even it out a little bit or not really?
I think if you're an MMA guy and you know how to like throw a palm strike with force, then you're going to get knockouts.
You're going to knock him out?
Yeah.
Like let's say like a guy like Aljamain Sterling, like he's got pretty good grappling.
He would probably knock out his opponent. Like a good example is Damien from the B team.
I've seen that clip. Yeah.
A guy was trying to leg lock him, and he just like palm strike down and knocked the guy out. So it's possible even with palm strikes, but I guess you would need to adjust your technique somehow.
Knockout is a win. It's over. You
Must
win.
be, yeah. That sounds like a win.
Yeah, that would be super fun.
Yeah. What about car jiu-jitsu? Have you ever been approached for that?
No, I haven't been approached yet, but
that would be crazy.
I hope I get the call up. That looks really cool.
They're using the seatbelt to choke each other out and stuff. Oh my gosh, yeah, those are insane.
I feel like I do that. Like I've been driving around America with one of my best mates, and we just get so frustrated at each other that we are having car jiu-jitsu. It's like combat jiu-jitsu though.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm prepared for it. If I do get the call up, I'm prepared.
I saw one the other day. It was there's just a big tire, like a big tire.
And they have to hold one hand in the tire.
No, they have to try to put the guy in the tire.
Okay.
If you get 51% of their body in the tire, then you win.
51%.
Yeah.
Who's making up?
Yeah, over half. I don't know how
judge
they measure it. Yeah, I don't know, but it was hilarious. These dudes were just trying to pick each other up and throw each other in the tire.
Isn't it funny when people make the most random games like this and they become successful? They're
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
actual money and
Like
sponsorships.
slap fighting?
Yeah.
Power slap.
Power slap's
Wild.
insane.
Power slap's crazy.
Yeah.
I would like to see celebrities do power slap, like two celebrities that have beef.
Yes,
Like just go power slap it out.
Yeah.
Like that's the way to do it. Like they're not going to
Better than
actually
boxing.
Yeah, they're not going to box or fight. I would rather just see them just go ham with the power slap.
Who would be the 2 celebrities you would most like to see?
Trump versus Biden.
No, well, that would be crazy.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
I just
Drake.
medical.
yeah, Kendrick versus Drake. I was thinking Will Smith versus Chris Rock. Run it back.
Yeah, that's good.
Run it back.
Good.
Yeah. No, I don't know, but I just think like
You never got called up for a power slap?
I don't think I would do it.
Paige Van Zant won. Did you see that?
She won?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would do it depending on there's nobody that I like want to slap that bad that I couldn't just fight.
Yeah.
And I would rather fight him.
Yeah.
Because you lose that coin flip,
You're getting slapped.
Gotta eat one.
Yeah,
it's going to be rough.
That'd be hard.
They also don't get paid a ton of money yet. I think you get like
It's like
1 or 2
$1,500 to show,
grand. Yeah.
$1,500 to win.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
I think
that's
they do
rough.
like $1,500 to show, $1,500 win, $1,500 knockout.
Yeah, it's
It's
crazy.
probably not worth the
The brain damage.
yeah, the CTE. Probably not worth it.
Yeah, bro. Some of those dudes get absolutely. They're just snoozing.
Yeah.
Oof,
It's bad.
rough.
at least you know it's coming.
I guess.
Like-
yeah.
It's a little bit better.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. I think it's worse.
Better than football.
You think you could take it? You think you could take one from Tony and stay conscious?
I don't know, dude. I feel like I got a small head.
I'll give you $500.
Bro, absolutely no
game.
shot.
$500.
Yo, what was that one game that we played? It was like how much money for to do something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we played this board game once, and it was something
Different activities. It was like cards, like
Yeah.
a prompt, like how
Yeah.
much to eat a rotten sandwich or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you price out like how much you would do
and
it
you
for.
and you basically
Yeah.
everybody tries to whoever pulls the card, everybody tries to guess like how much money it would cost them to do that.
And Nolf's was always like super low.
It was super. And I was just like $50, and yeah, it was like no, you would jump off the Golden Gate Bridge for $50. Like what? No, it was like stuff like that. But the one that was really funny, it was I had it, and it was like how much money to let the person on your right slap the person on your left as hard as they can. And Tony was on my right and my wife was on my left. And I was like, and it's like one of those games like you have to like put an amount, but you have to like try to put your lowest amount. And I think I
He's like, Tony. I was like, I have to.
I think it was like $100,000 I said or something like that. But
That's crazy.
it was only because it was my wife that's getting slapped. It could have been anybody else, and it would have been like not a big deal. But I was like, how did it work out this way?
Talking.
Then we
about
did it.
Board games. This guy, we played Secret Hitler last night.
Oh, bro.
And every time
Saw his dark side?
Every time I would ask him, are you a liberal? And I would see if he looked away immediately, he was lying. So I caught him lying like.
Caught me lying a few times.
And then he just played like my best friend this one round. I was like, oh, he's broing up hard with me. Like,
Bro.
we teamed up and we're just going against the rest of the pack.
Yeah.
Turned out he was Hitler, and I was like, no, I felt like super gaslighted.
It was so bad, bro. I felt bad about it because the whole time I was like, I've got this dude like so full.
He always
I was
preys on
so-
the new guys, bro. He jumps
Dude,
right on.
I was like,
No.
whoa. I was like mind blown.
He'd played before. He'd played before.
I was so blind.
It was bad, bro. I played the long game. It started out great because I put 2 liberal cards on the board, and then I gave him liberal, and I was just
Giving me
we were just
liberal.
locked in.
Yeah,
We were good to go.
Dude, that game's mad fun.
Oh, it's so fun.
great Secret Hitler, right?
I can't play with Tony. He knows me too well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he always exposes me, and I get super pissed. It's like, I don't know. It's just something so frustrating about that.
Can't help it.
I don't know.
I think that's a really funny thing I've noticed about the Penn State crew. It's just games all the
All
time,
the
time.
all day, until
Yeah.
3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
Like this game, that game.
Yeah.
Like the
Not
rest-
much else to do, right?
Yeah. But like the practice starts in the rec room. It's like dodgeball.
Yeah.
Like three, 4 games of dodgeball, and then it finishes. Then like people setting up like little soccer matches. Then I heard stories like people coming in at midnight playing games all
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, we used to do that all the time.
Yeah.
when we were in college. That was like the thing we did. Everybody else is going out, doing partying and all that, and we were in the wrestling room playing soccer or playing, we'd play. What's the game where you have the racket and you hit the ball against the wall?
Racquetball.
Racquetball.
Yeah.
I was usually partying, but sometimes
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it. I was like,
clear the air.
I'll lump Tony in with us. Yeah. He wasn't actually there, but I'll lump him in.
I was probably with Tony.
That's great.
But table tennis has been one. Like I heard a story with Snyder.
Yeah,
Noel
Snyder's
Flo,
good.
like just locked in, like playing hundreds and hundreds of super competitive games all the time.
Yeah.
But I think it's also made you guys have a competitive mindset as well, which probably helps just to elevate each other in the room as well. So like me and my mate were saying today, it's like, I don't think I'm competitive at all. Like I don't really care about
it's not that big a deal.
But I want to care. Like I wish I cared more about like winning games.
Yeah.
Maybe it will help me in my profession.
Yeah, we've had probably in our crew and the Penn State crew in general, like if there's ever a fight, it's not over wrestling or anything serious. It's over games.
Yeah.
It's like actual
games.
fist fights happening over like playing Mafia or playing, dodgeball and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
not during the actual fist fighting training, but
No.
the games.
The games, the games will get
It
you.
was Matty Nolf, Jason Nolf versus Carter, and another one of the blokes there. And they just got so competitive. They stopped the game to argue every 15 minutes. Eventually, I just left the room. I'm just watching you guys argue for hours now. They were there for like 3-4 more hours just arguing with each other.
Yeah.
So good.
It is crazy, like the competitiveness. I feel like my wife, she was an athlete and she's like pretty competitive and stuff, but like my family was always like that growing up, and her family is like, they're competitive, but when it's a game they can like turn it off. And I always feel like I want to turn it off. I just can't do it. Like I'm just like, I can't do it. I don't know what it is, but it's not in me to.
It's probably a good thing though. Like
I don't know. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, because when you're with people that are like that, it's fine. But then if you're with people that aren't like that, it gets really awkward. It's like you get pissed at. I mean, Tony's seen this.
Like I'm gonna keep it cool this game, guys.
Yeah.
I hate you so much. Why would you ever do that?
That's funny. We were walking up the stairs at the rec room the other day, and it's like one of my mates is helping us with the Jiu Jitsu camp, and he's just arrived, and he's walking up the stairs, and just before his foot touches the very top step, like Nolf zoomed past him and goes, "Yes!" And he literally like, "What was that?"
Like, what the hell? Like, you didn't know we were racing.
I was like, "Get used to it, mate. Get used to it. You're gonna have to start winning."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's true.
But
Yeah.
I love it. I think this room is like nothing I've ever
Yeah.
seen before in my life, and I think like I've been in all the best jiu-jitsu rooms in the world, like under John Danaher, DDS, visited all the other ones in Brazil and stuff like that. B team, was a coach at B team, like kind of been and seen everything, and I think the professionalism is like nothing I've ever seen before, and I think the culture is from the top, so it's probably something Coach Kale is doing there, really setting the culture, and then everyone's kind of like even like the best guys in the room, like Carl Snyder, they're the guys that are putting down the mats and like doing all those like little things, like maybe other guys in jiu-jitsu wouldn't be like cleaning the mats after every day or something like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's cool to see that, be a part of that room. So I'm learning a lot while I'm here.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
What have been the biggest like differences? You don't have to get into details, but like for all the rooms you've been a part of, how do they approach, like what's the positive and negatives you've seen of how they approach training, like mindset, recovery, like that kind of stuff?
I think I think because of the program itself and maybe like some of the funding and stuff, you guys have had access to like everything that you need, where jiu-jitsu is just you do everything by yourself. So I think like just having access to everything really helps. But yeah, it's just people taking this a lot more professional.
Got it.
I think, yeah.
You mean by that, like kind of like their lifestyle and
Everything, every 1%.
Right. Yeah.
How they're recovering.
Yeah.
Mindset coaches,
Right.
Thinking about mindset in general.
Yeah.
And like one big thing is like people are definitely not overtraining here.
Yeah.
Maybe other wrestling rooms are more known to like blow their load.
Yeah.
overtrain and they come into competition a little bit like cramming before competitions, where you guys almost taking the opposite approach.
Yeah.
Right.
You see that a lot with guys just going hard nonstop.
Too much.
Happens a lot in jiu-jitsu as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's hard when, like you're saying, you're alone, and a lot of people, they don't know how to train and periodize and like kind of optimize for that competition, right? They're just like going as hard as they can all the time, and that's really not like training. But they don't have anybody with experience or anybody with understanding to like kind of steer them in a different direction.
Yeah, you guys also have a lot of coaches in the room at the same time. Like jiu-jitsu, you might have one black belt coach, and then he's rolling the whole time as well. Not everyone, like Danaher doesn't. He sits on the side and coaches from the side, but most of the time, like typically the black belt coach is in there rolling himself. But you guys have like coaches, 5 coaches, like all at the same time in the room, all like looking at you guys, helping you guys. So that's really cool to see as well. I think that helps.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's one of the hard things with MMA and jiu-jitsu, I guess, is like there's so much, and a lot of times like we're at a smaller gym and the coaches are like working with us, like rolling with us or sparring or doing stuff, and it's like it's nice to have somebody that's just like overseeing it.
I was saying this, like every other sport, if it was like NBA, anything else, the coaches are getting paid so much money that it's easy for them to be like obsessed about what they're doing and like learning and like spending hours and hours like on their work. But no coach in jiu-jitsu is getting paid really. So that's why as well, I'm sure if one of these academies offered anyone like $100 million, like you're going to be the coach of this team, then they would be like incredible.
Yeah,
Right.
true.
Because then it just frees up everything else of part of their focus and time.
Yeah, they really want to be doing that and like being there.
Yeah. So where do you see like the sport going overall? I feel like jiu-jitsu's grown a lot, at least in the past, 5-10 years, and it seems like it's evolving a lot. And do you think it will eventually become more of a professional thing, or is it kind of just maybe?
Yeah, I think so. I think right now, like everyone's getting involved in jiu-jitsu. Like you see, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, they're training with like some like Danaher, like they're training with Danaher, or Zuckerberg's training with other guys that I know, and like they're getting involved. And a lot of celebrities do jiu-jitsu and then tell other people to put their children in jiu-jitsu as well. So like Kelly Slater, he does jiu-jitsu. Like
Tom Hardy.
Yeah, so many people do it, and so there's a lot of attraction for it. There just needs to be like one, which right now it's ADCC, but that's just like the same style. It's like every 2 years there's one event. Who's number one from Flow Sports is the most consistent. So they kind of like have been doing all of our matches for the last few years.
Yeah.
And then there's like other organizations like Eddie Bravo's Invitational and the EBI and stuff like that. But where it's going is, it's interesting because now that there's so many like celebrities and famous people, there's a lot of opportunity for money. So then like we're able to compete. Like this one in August is $1 million. Like some random person's just like, here, take $3-4 million.
Yeah.
Hopefully that happens every year for us. That'd be pretty incredible if that happened every year. But there's been other cases as well, like Lachlan Giles and Craig. There's this like random guy, like anonymous, just gave him, I think it was like $150,000, and just said, give this to some jiu-jitsu athletes that you think is like worthy of it.
And they kept it.
I know, like definitely, like Lachlan Giles gave it out for sure, because he did this thing. He's like, all right, I'm going to give you money, but I want you guys to do a drug test, and you have to live in Australia. So then he gave a lot of Australians a bunch of money.
That's cool. Awesome.
And then they all took the money and they went to America. But no, but even he had a chunk left over, and then he even messaged me on Instagram not that long ago and said, "Oh, I've got this money left over. I'm going to give it to all the ADCC winners from Australia.
Nice.
So he just like sent me some cash in my bank account. So thank you.
That's awesome.
Cheers, mate.
Nice. That's cool.
So that was really
Yeah.
So there is a lot of money involved. So
Right.
there's a lot of potential to see where it's happening, and a lot of people do want to make these competitions where we're able to start making a lot more money consistently, which is cool.
Yeah.
So
Especially every
Can you
year,
bring
like
the
if
mic
there's
a little bit closer to you.
if they're like the opening between ADCCs, it sounds like there's like an option to have more people come up and have more tournaments to compete. Because obviously this year's a competition between the two, but next year, you're free.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think what happened with the two competitions this year was awkward. I guess that was awkward. But it was one of those situations where like a business opens up and then they open up across the street because they want to become like the business themselves. So that's what it was, and it was like very like ADCC was like coming in. It was only like we're all the brackets already made, like we're ready to go, and then this happened, so it shook things up, I guess. Which made more of a noise.
Right. Had it happened like a year ago and they announced it, then it's not maybe as it quiets down at this point, but it happened so close to the actual competition.
All the trials were done, so people won the trials. Like trials are done, we got the athletes ready,
and then those
invites are out, and then it's just like boom, like it changes things. But
did ADCC accept just like more guys from the trials that placed lower, like trials runner-ups and stuff?
Yeah, that's basically what they did. So Mo, who's the head organizer of ADCC, he would have been the one to like oversee who gets invited next, and it would have been guys that have got silver medals twice in the trials and stuff like that. Exciting guys that can bring eyeballs to the sport is also part of it as well.
So CJI is 32, right? It's 216 man brackets.
Yeah.
So ADCC, they basically took, would all 32 of those guys, well, I guess not all of them, but a lot of them would have been able to compete in ADCC, right? Except for maybe Jason and Greg.
yeah. So not all of them. Like there are some guys in the CGI that I'm not super familiar with.
Yeah.
But they did try to get a lot of like the top ADCC guys.
Yeah.
In my division, actually, all three that podiumed, I'm pretty sure are still in the division. Like Wagner went down to 77 and stuff like that, but my division didn't get too affected.
Right.
It was more 77 because it's either the bigger boys because it's 80 plus. So then you got guys like Greg. How much does Greg weigh? He's
255 right now.
255. So you get like huge guys. So then anyone that's like smaller or closer to 80 is going to try to drop down, or if they're like a bit heavier, 90, they're going to try to drop down to 80. And then like 66 guys couldn't really compete against like the big guys dropping to 80. So because it was only two divisions, they didn't pull everyone, but they did take some good guys for sure.
Yeah. Nice.
But yeah, talk about that. Jason Nolf and Greg. What Greg's last name?
Kirkfleet.
So they're both doing this CGI for $1 million, and like I think day one when I arrived at Penn State and I talked to them about it, I didn't think in their mind they're like, oh, I'm definitely like can win this. But I think after some conversation and realizing how much more athletic wrestlers are than jiu-jitsu guys, and like how good you guys are at scrambling, especially like Jason Nolf comes from folk style. It's just a bit of a nightmare to deal with. Like, and these guys do so many things that these jiu-jitsu guys aren't going to expect. Like even like, trying to get to their back and stuff, it's not the same as taking someone that does jiu-jitsu. It's like, it's completely a new feel. So it's going to be really interesting. And I think they're both going to win both divisions. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. I have like full faith in these guys, and putting together a game plan as well that works for wrestlers is a part of it. So like most people that do jiu-jitsu, when they have a wrestler in their division, they're like, oh, I'm just going to pull guard and leg lock this guy. But now the wrestler knows like how to avoid that situation, and he does like these couple things, and now you can't get into their legs. Now what are you going to do? Wrestle up on them? And then you're trying to wrestle a wrestler at that point. Or you can't get under their legs. It's just, it turns into like, it turns a lot more difficult quicker than you think.
And that rule set favors them a little more.
Yeah, so their rule set it's kind of something new. There's one competition called AIGA, we did, that was in Kazakhstan, and it was the same thing. It was 3 5-minute rounds with a 1 minute break. And a lot of those guys were like, it was Khabib's team. So we actually fought Khabib's team when I was there. So I went against those guys from Dagestan, and they were really tough.
Yeah.
Exactly what I was talking about, like taking them down and stuff. So they're generally better wrestlers than the jiu-jitsu guys trying to wrestle. And then when you're playing guard with them, if they do the right things, then it's hard to get under them, and it's hard to like sweep them as well because they have good base. So it's a good problem. Like, I'm really happy that these guys are getting introduced with us. Like, it was kind of like Mo put on an ADCC team and then took a bunch of guys from ADCC, and we fought Khabib's team, and it was kind of like the best grapplers from the East versus the best grapplers from the West in a way. So that was kind of how they were promoting it. And it was really interesting, the style difference, completely, two different styles completely.
Right.
So that was really fun to see that, and I'm happy that they're coming into it, because now they're going to make us better wrestlers, and like we're going to learn skills and they're going to learn skills.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm really interested in that actually.
Yeah.
Greg will face Nicky Rod probably for their first match, right? Is that how they're doing
Last
the
seed
seeding?
versus first seed?
Yeah. How are they doing the?
I don't think I don't know if they're doing it like that, maybe, but in my mind, I don't think they're going to put Nicky Rod against Greg.
I don't think they should.
Yeah, I feel like they shouldn't either.
Yeah, I feel
Greg
like
has a really good chance to beat him.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you look at like where they come from, both wrestlers.
Yeah, they would match up differently.
Greg's just a bigger, better wrestler than Nicky Rod is, but Nicky Rod now has been doing jiu-jitsu for I don't know, 5 years maybe. I was there when he was just getting started in New York.
Oh, really?
When he was coming in as this like wrestler guy.
Yeah.
And that was he full wrestler mentality coming into into John Danaher's class there in the Blue Basement, which was cool to watch. But yeah, him versus Greg is, I don't know, I feel like Greg with more time could be another Nicky Rod in the grappling world.
Yeah.
Right.
It'd be cool to see in the finals. Nicky Rod's cool too.
Yeah,
He's got good style.
Yeah, he's definitely. I think I prefer Nicky Rod's first ADCC style, where he was like just throwing people around. It was more reckless. It was like less conservative than his matches these days. And I think that really blew his brand up so much, because he was just this big athletic guy, just like wrestling everybody and just going so hard, like wrestling mentality. Yeah. These days, he doesn't mind taking more of a conservative approach, taking his time. Yeah. A lot of guys pull guard against him anyway, so he's looking for more like body lock passes and his matches can be like a little bit less dynamic. But yeah, that first ADCC, like he was the most exciting. Yeah, that was part about that event.
Yeah, he did really well.
Yeah, silver medal.
Yeah,
as a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. So that's what I mean. Like, I think I could take Morgan, Max Dean, like any of these like high level wrestlers, and just teach them jiu-jitsu for like 6 months, and then they're already on the level, like world class level, to compete against these guys.
Right.
I think it's just because they're so much more athletic.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it yesterday, dude. I want to do some more competitions. I feel like with fighting, it's tough. I only get a fight, a couple times a year. I would love to fight 10 times a year if I could, but I want to get as many matches as I can. And I feel like, we gotta get some training in, and I want to get it going here. Yeah,
we'll start to reach out to some organizers. I wonder if like UFC would want you to do the UFC Fight Pass.
I'm sure they would want me to, but I don't have to. I'm not obligated to. Like I saw Aljamain just did one at Karate Combat.
Doing a bunch,
He does
them
matches.
Often,
They do some with Fury. I think it's called Fury or something like that. It's based in Jersey.
Yeah, even like Polaris, to bring on UFC guys.
Yeah.
They bring on Aljamain when I was competing there as well.
I feel like he's doing one every week.
Yeah.
Always competing.
It's good to keep the competition spirit.
Definitely. That's what I want to do. I want to compete a bunch.
Rob Whittaker used to compete a lot in grappling events. So UFC star, and he would just roll up to local.
I'm going to go to the Naga in Pittsburgh.
He would, which was really cool. Like,
that's awesome.
Like, wow, that's Rob Whittaker. And
I saw Demetrius Johnson competed in the gi World Championship.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, it was cool. He won.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah,
He was
which
like
is
throwing
great.
big guys around. Wasn't
Yeah,
he?
yeah, he did absolute
Yeah.
division. Yeah,
He's a freak, hey.
ridiculous. Yeah, yeah, he is. He can do anything.
Yeah.
Who do you see as the best jiu-jitsu in the UFC right now? Like top 3 guys.
I think like obviously like Habib and his team, in my opinion, have like very good grappling. In terms of like pure jiu-jitsu, it's Gary Tonin. Like in MMA, he's by far the best in pure jiu-jitsu. And in terms of like MMA grappling, then like I think like Habib's team, like Islam, like we watched the fight this weekend, Leon Edwards versus Bilal.
Yeah.
It was pretty dominant grappling. Like
Yeah.
he was just locking up his double legs when he wanted to, and then staying behind him. Like there's a lot, like they could be doing more jiu-jitsu things and like less wrestling like stuff.
Yeah.
And he probably would have submitted him when he first got behind him. And that's like my goal when like we start working together. It's like as soon as you take someone's back, like really understanding how to like trap people's arms and like take away their defenses and then finishing the fight there. I think I'm watching a lot of UFC and there's people just doing the wrong things all the time. Like putting themselves in more danger pretty often, and like they're just unaware of what's happening. But at the same time, there will be more improvement once like UFC guys start to recruit the top jiu-jitsu guys to come into their camps.
Right.
And now now you're going to start seeing like people trapping arms and like doing, I think like Gordon Ryan was training with John Jones recently. So like you'll see John Jones like start systematizing his like back strangles and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's definitely coming and it's on its way. But yeah, I think the best is Gary Tonin and then probably like Islam. And then, yeah, I'm not sure. What's your opinion? I'm probably forgetting.
Yeah, pure
You guys.
jiu-jitsu, probably Gary Tonin. Ryan Hall had a good run,
Ryan
but
Hall, yeah.
it was tough because he only did leg locks. So, like, he wasn't really doing much other than that, which I don't really, like, think that's a good strategy in MMA. I know Gary Tonin does a lot of leg locks too, but he does a lot. I feel like he actually has a better style for fighting.
Paddy Pimblett is actually.
Patty Pimblett's
Yeah.
pretty good.
He's got good.
Yeah, he's
jiu-jitsu,
good.
Ortega.
Yeah, Ortega would have good jiu-jitsu. I haven't trained with him. I've trained with Paddy before, and he had
Yeah.
good jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I'm trying.
BJ Penn.
Well, BJ Penn's been retired for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
he,
lost
he
like
had
10
good
fights in a row.
jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, no, he was good.
he
Yeah,
would, but yeah, back then,
I mean, Damian Maia was always
Yeah.
great on the back.
Gilbert Burns. Have you rolled with him?
Yeah, I trained with
Yeah.
him recently. He came to Long Island, and we spent a few days training together, and he was good. He's like, he was black belt world champion when he was 25.
Wow.
And it was after that when he started MMA, and we were talking a lot. He really enjoyed training with me. So he invited me to go to Florida and help him out with his next camps and stuff like that. And he was saying like, just learn striking and jump like the start of MMA. I was like, maybe like
Yeah, dude.
It definitely gives me confidence. Someone like that when I'm training with them, and then they're telling me like, oh, learn some striking. Like,
Yeah,
you'll do
for
well.
sure.
So
I agree with that. I feel like your style. I mean, I feel like if you're going to transition from jiu-jitsu to MMA, like if you have like a wrestling heavy jiu-jitsu style,
yeah,
then like you're going to dominate.
yeah,
Because you can just get guys on the ground and then like what are they going to do? They're not going to get up. You're going to pass their guard, but it's basically just it's easier on you now because you can elbow them in the face instead of having to like play that game where you're trying to pass and
you have a few leg locks in there as well. And
Yeah.
I think the leg locks definitely scare people. Like
for sure.
do you guys remember Paul Harris? He went into the MMA and just,
He got like
he got banned from the
because
UFC.
he kept
Really?
cranking the
He
leg
would
locks.
always do this. He would hold submissions, and then the referee would like call the match, and he would just keep holding on.
wouldn't take it.
Yeah, a situation with Jake Shields and him. They went to court over it.
Was that in a fight, like a jiu-jitsu match?
Yeah, it was in an MMA.
MMA fight. What happened? He kept
He held
cranking?
on to a submission, and then Jake the referee was like dragging him off, and then Jake punched him in the face afterwards because he was like breaking something. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And then on YouTube, there's their court, like it's them in court, like discussing.
crazy.
Who won?
I think Jake.
He won the
I think
suit?
Jake. Yeah, I think
Wow.
Jake did because it was obvious like he was hanging on.
Yeah.
He just wouldn't let go. It was a
to
leg
go.
lock.
He used to do that all the time.
Yeah, he's famous for that.
Yeah, he's famous for that. But he was. Yeah, he's a guy that like
Messed up.
MMA. Like you're worried about your legs
Oh, of
being
course,
attacked.
yeah.
Like Ryan
Yeah.
Hall as well. So,
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have like more freedom on your feet,
Yeah.
right?
Haven't seen a heel hook recently. The last heel hook I saw, or well, I guess leg lock that I saw was Thiago Moises on Michael Johnson. But I haven't seen one in a long time.
Yeah.
Ian Gary tried to hit one on Michael
Yeah.
Page,
Yeah.
but he didn't. He had it. It was pretty tight.
That was one match like I think we talked about afterwards, and I was like, if he did a few things differently, he would have finished the match in round one. Like
Yeah.
Really.
locking it, like Michael Venom Page was like rolling to the wrong hip. Like it looked like he didn't really know what he was doing in terms of like defending his
Yeah.
defending.
Oh
his
yeah, he had
strangles.
that choke for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he like went to the wrong hip as well, so he put himself in like a much more
Yeah.
dangerous situation to get strangled.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember what happened, but he got into a heel hook territory, and then he would have got it if he did a few things differently, but then he just didn't have the awareness of that, and then he ended up just like letting go of the leg lock
Right.
entanglement to wrestle up or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you get really good at leg locks and strangling people in the back, and then you're a good wrestler, it's hard to deal with that
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, and I think like another thing, once you do like say you do 2 heel hooks in the UFC, now the whole division is like
Reputation. They're gonna train
scared for you.
defense
Yeah,
for
like,
that whole time.
you
yeah.
guillotine 2 people now. Like same in jiu-jitsu, like some guys like got a few heel hooks in a row, and now like everyone's really scared of that person. Like changing their whole style differently to prepare for that person, or someone gets a few guillotines, now suddenly no one will shoot on this one guy.
Gotcha.
So it's just like a lot of fighting is mental.
yeah.
And I think like being aware of that, it like you don't have to fall for those like illusions so much
Right.
if you're
Yeah.
aware of it. Pretty much.
Yeah. It's a lot of reputation. Whoever wins, it's kind of like happens a lot of times like before the competition even happens.
Yeah, if you're the champion, you get like extra
Yeah.
power
Right.
like, before the match even starts.
Right.
It happens.
It's called the reverse superstar effect.
Yeah.
So there's been studies on this, and basically like the best example is Tiger Woods. So when Tiger Woods was in his prime, people shot on average, it was like 2 or 3 strokes worse when they played against him. And a lot of it has to do with like them kind of being already defeated before they go in, or just not really believing in themselves. And yeah, it happens a lot. Like the favorites are there for a reason, and it affects people's mindsets.
It's good when you become the champion.
Yeah.
When you're the champion, you get that
Yeah.
power.
Or you just feel like you are. You're
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
like, I just feel like that.
It's all real, like placebo and everything.
Yeah.
I remember that first dynamic happened in my very first jiu-jitsu school. I grew up in a place called Adelaide, South Australia, and the gym was called Aruda BJJ. And the coach, Leonardo, his name was, he was a black belt and just destroyed everyone all year rounds. Like no one got close to submitting him. Like so dominant, he would compete as well and win everything. And I remember like the conversation between the students was like, oh, we can't do anything. Like you can't even get close to him. Like everyone's just like already mentally defeated. And as a 16-year-old, I was like paying attention to that. And then there was this one bloke that was like telling me, he's like, see what's happening. Like, don't let that be you. Like, go for him.
Wow.
Like, he was already like telling me, like, don't fall for that.
Wow.
And I was like, all right. And then I'll just like try so hard, just like just collar tying my coach, just like double legging him off the mats. Like we would go to war. Me and my coach like falling over into the stands and like wouldn't stop out of bounds, and just he put me to sleep so many times. Like
Wow. Oh my God.
we would like get really competitive. But that's why I think like I compete against like Kaina and Duarte, for example, in Polaris, and like no nerves whatsoever. I was just ready to like run through this guy.
Yeah.
I didn't, but I was ready to do it. I was like, and I think that's like one thing I've been blessed with. It's just like haven't had that dynamic happen to me yet, where I felt like I've lost before the match.
That's awesome.
Right.
Unless it's my own stuff.
Right.
To do with them. It's just like
No, I know what you mean.
Right.
my own.
It's all internal.
Yeah.
It's a good focus, like in competition. You can't be thinking about the other person really at all. I always tell myself, I'm like, they're just like a body, and it doesn't really matter.
Two
like,
arms, two legs.
yeah, it doesn't really matter. Just kind of focus on what I need to do, keep it simple, and I mean, I don't think you ever get better results when you play up that other person.
I was kind of like Aspinall and Curtis Blades this past weekend too, because it was almost like Blades didn't even have a chance in that fight. Like he took one punch, and it was a jab.
Conor McGregor and Jose Aldo. Like, just so much pressure. It's just
So tight.
And at that level, like if you're even like half a second too late, then it's too late.
You're done.
You're done.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like, I remember reading one book and it was about like just getting so quick at the fundamentals. So the team was just like, just did fundamental plays. It was football. They were talking about football, American football. And they would just like do everything as reactionary as possible. So they're just not even thinking. It's all subconscious. And then they ended up having like the best season of their whole career.
Yeah.
Just because and the same in wrestling, I think you guys have like cues. And then it's just like your subconscious, you're just not even thinking. You're just going.
Yeah. No, that's super accurate. I feel like if you are thinking, then it's too late. You haven't done enough reps and you haven't trained, enough. And I think that's part of the learning curve of training is like, all right, what do I do here? Like I'm thinking, and then it becomes natural over time. And that's when people like that 10,000 hours, right? Like you put 10,000 hours in and it just becomes second nature.
That's when people make things look beautiful.
Yeah.
That's where art comes from. They're just like, even guys that, you see those random Instagram videos of like a guy living in India that just like does something so simple, but he's done it his whole life. That he just does it in a crazy, like looks like amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like the people cutting fruit.
Yeah.
Like cutting the fruit up or doing something, making like street food. Yeah, it's like artistic.
Dairo dreams of sushi.
Oh, have you seen this documentary?
No.
Do you like sushi?
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta watch this documentary. It's about this guy. He's like 85 years old, and he dedicated his entire life to making sushi.
Wow.
He basically has like the best sushi restaurant in the world. It's in Tokyo, I believe.
Yeah. And it's like Subway, like underground.
But
I love that.
It's just like it's like as big as this room, a tiny little spot.
Just one craft, making sushi.
all he did for 80 years.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
And
really
he's-
cool.
And he does everything. He like goes to the market. He has some like obviously like this isn't special, but like the way he does it, it's so detail oriented and like his mindset. You kind of get a deep dive into his mind. I feel like everybody should watch that like once a year.
Yeah, but his son is like waiting to take over, and now he's like in his late 60s.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
So he's still waiting.
Wow.
It's kind of sad. He was like going to take over the restaurant at one point, and he's like, I think he had a health issue or something. He was going to retire, and then he was like,
No.
"Nah, F it."
Yeah.
And he just still makes it. And his son is his sous chef.
Crazy.
But his son, it's cool to respect though because his son just still is like,
just
even
head
though
down.
he could eat. I think his other son opened a restaurant.
Yeah, he left.
His second son left and opened his own restaurant, and it was like a little contention. But his oldest son was like so loyal. He easily could have went anywhere, opened his own restaurant because he knew everything he knew. But he was just like loyal to his dad. And it's a good one. You got to watch it.
Yeah.
It's cool how like nature produces just these like people that get obsessed about one thing and then they just become the art pretty much.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
So do I. I'm really attracted to like the one path. But there was also a book that I wanted to read of this one guy. He spent like a decade with one craft, then a decade with another craft, and he wrote this book on like the principles of mastery.
Yeah.
And it's that's like really interesting to me too. That like you can spend a portion of your life that's long, but it's also short, like 10 years mastering one thing, then you move on to the next. But it's also really cool to see someone like Gyro like spent his entire life on one thing. But the beauty is, like you're saying, it's just in the art of like how they've dedicated themselves to daily improvement.
Yeah. I mean, look at Danaher. He wears a rash guard everywhere. That's commitment.
Yeah.
It's a lot of commitment.
Yeah.
No, I think that both are like super cool and super honorable. I think pursuing like just improvement and is such a cool thing. And if you can do that in one thing for 80 years, like that's very cool. And also if like you want to like try something new and seek improvement, but it's like that mindset. I think people get too stagnated and they're just good with where they're at. And the book that we're reading right now, by Arthur Brooks, what's it called again?
Way to Happiness or something like that.
Essentially.
Yeah, I was telling Jason Noel
Build the life you want.
and Bo Nickal yesterday, like I have this belief that these greats just try like a little bit harder than your average person. When I say average person, the average person still has like a natural inclination to want to be doing that thing. So they have a passion for the thing. And like, let's say they're like decently like have abilities and they're decently smart. If they just try a little bit harder, I feel like that's all it takes.
Yeah,
And then be consistent over 5 years, and you can pretty much do anything.
Definitely.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that the point in the book that it was talking about basically like with our memory, when we do the same thing over and over, that memory gets like lumped into one thing, and I think that it kind of can lead to monotony and lead to like just being less happy. But I think that you can find nuance and you can find kind of, I guess, novelty in pursuing one thing and trying to improve in that one thing, and also pursuing different things and trying to improve in different things, right? So like, it doesn't mean that it's going to be monotonous if you take this path and you pick one thing that you're going to dedicate your life to, because you're always trying to improve that area. Like even if you master fundamentals, like you can always like add new things and try something different and work on it and you know, continuing to pursue perfection in your craft. And that becomes like different. That becomes, again, more novel and more nuanced. Whereas, you know, if you can jump around to different things, or you can do the same thing. And if you're not seeking like improvement relative to where you're at, then it's just, you're just doing the same thing every day. And that's like what makes people unhappy.
Yeah.
A lot of times. Yeah. It's like kind of, or you ever think back about like your memory of, for instance, like driving to the gym. And if you go the same way every day, you kind of lump that into one memory, and you're like, oh, where did the time go? Yeah. But when you know, go left instead of right or whatever, then it's like comes its own new memory, and then there's novelty in that, and it's like a more powerful thing. I think that's something that I've been thinking about a lot.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Like I recently did this exercise, and it was like to write down like some things that you're going for. So let's say goals, and then while you're doing that, it's like, okay, now for the next 21 days, you're going to brush your teeth with your left hand. Yeah, and now every time I brush my teeth with my left hand, I'm like, why am I doing this? Yeah. It's like, oh, I remember why, because I'm going for these goals in my life. And it's just like, you're right. Like, it's a good idea to drive if you go to the gym every day, take a different route sometimes. Like, it's good for your mind.
Definitely. Yeah. I think that, because you're more conscious.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I was going to say is like, life is learning. Learning and growing, and that's pretty much what I think is the purpose, or like a big purpose for me is just growth in general. In it, you know, the areas change time to time, like some months it's like physical growth or spiritual growth or mental growth or whatever it may be, but it's always like evolving in some way.
I agree.
Right.
Keep that for sure as the goal.
And I think doing it for the sake of the growth, and doing it for the sake of that, not to try to like get something out of it, right? Like I think it's good to set goals, and I think that's an important part of the process. But when you let the goal become the purpose, then you lose the beauty of like that, of what improvement is and what growth is. Like, because I think that I've been thinking about this a lot. Like, of course, like I have goals, you have goals, we all have goals, and I'm not saying to like not have goals, but I've been working really hard on like letting go of those and like letting go of control, and trying to just focus back on the growth and on the craft and on the pursuit. And I feel a lot more like at peace. Yeah. And I think surrender is a great word to use. Yeah. No, I think that's definitely like this state. I think that as a kid and even coming up through college, everything was so goal oriented. Like this stage of my life, I'm trying to like let go of that. And I think, I don't know, I'm learning a lot.
I think it sounds like it's correct in the path of like how things go.
I hope. I don't know.
I think
maybe I'm going to realize I should have been more goal oriented.
I think it is. I think it's definitely a part of it. And like, for example, like let's say like there's some kids and they want to be like Olympians so bad, and they want it so bad. Some people can get stuck in that phase of wanting. And they identify
perpetual
with
want.
Perpetual want. Like they identify with like I want it. And like it's a mindset shift to be like, no, like I feel like I am a champion now. And then you start to talk to yourself like that, and you start to like, no, it's already happened. I think that's a big shift that like will really help people coming from like, I really want this, and I am it now, and like I'm worthy of it now and deserving of it now. I think a lot of people will just fast track their goals
Right.
immediately once they start to do that as well.
Yeah.
Well, I think that like a lot of people that win like big events when they have these big goals, then they get super depressed after because they feel like that was like supposed to be the end all be all. And then after that, it's like, what am I anymore? Like I achieved this great thing, but then after it's like filled with emptiness.
Yeah, I think I've had a lot of friends like chasing, like let's say fame, and then they get to a million followers on Instagram, and then it was like a depressing day for them.
Yeah.
they're like, oh shit, like this didn't make me happy, or like other friends that have been like really wanted money, and then they sell their businesses and get like all this millions and millions of dollars, and you know wherever you go, there you are. Is the saying I like to tell myself. Like even when you get to the top of like most rich, famous person ever, that's still you there with you.
Yeah.
At the end of the
Wow.
day, that's it. So
You got a great mindset, dude.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that exact concept just recently. Like thinking about the stuff I want to achieve and who I want to become, and then I just try to take a deep breath and let it out, and then I'm like, okay, but when I am that person, I'm gonna be doing the exact same thing. Like I'm gonna take a breath.
you're gonna feel the same
Yeah,
way.
I'm gonna be right here. So like right now, I'm okay. I'm all
right.
good.
Yeah.
You know, I am completely full and at peace and loved, and then whatever comes. But like Bo was saying, I'm focused on the growth, the process, improvement daily. If I'm improving in mind, body, and spirit, relationally, that's all gonna come. And either way, if it doesn't, like I'm still right here taking a deep breath, and everything's great.
Yeah, that's a part of it too.
Yeah.
Like suffering is a part of life.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And like pain is our teacher as well, and that's one thing that I've been thinking about as well. It's like going through like painful situations, relationships, or family, or whatever it may be, and like, okay, this serves a purpose.
Yeah.
Like, this pain is actually serving me right now, which is a really interesting like shift of perspective to put on it. And as soon as you do, it's like, oh, nothing can take me down. Like there's nothing in the world that can stop me, because now I'm using all sources, love, pain, everything, and it's just benefiting me.
Yeah, it's all helping.
Well, I think that something that you just said is incredibly important, and that's love. And people talk nowadays a lot about like self-care and loving yourself, and I think that I like the intention, but a lot of times it's very worldly and like vapid, and it's like, oh, like go buy some clothes or get yourself this or treat yourself or whatever. And I think that from our conversation with Chris, something that's really important is like when you really truly can like internalize and like feel love for yourself, and maybe almost like have an out of body perspective and look back and have genuine love for yourself, that then those things that you mentioned as well, like the struggle and pain and those different things, like you can come at them in a more positive way and actually see the positivity that comes from them, because you already have that self-worth and that internal value, and you don't have to go earn that. And so then when there's a struggle or a hiccup or a bump in the road, everything doesn't come crashing down. And, you know, I think it really kind of starts with that, being able to like be content, love yourself, not place judgment on yourself, and not feel that wanting and that like just yearning for more. But then it's weird because I feel like the way when you do that, you end up getting it. It's like you really do end up getting what you want, but you gotta surrender again, like you said.
Have faith. Surrender is the hard part. I like what you said there as well. And like we were talking the other day, and he mentioned one of your coaches that works with your mindset. Her name's Bonnie, one of the ladies in the gym there. She recommended Bo a book like way back in the day. It's called The 4 Agreements. I personally think every like person should read this book, especially athletes. I think it helps athletes a lot because it talks about not taking things personally. So when you become a famous person, which like in my opinion, becoming famous sucks. Like you're just like I don't really want to be famous. I think it's gonna make things like, for example, like everyone's up in your opinion now. Everyone has an opinion on you.
Yeah.
Everyone's projecting themselves. So like you're gonna get a lot of hate, but really it's just them projecting what their internal world is as well. So you're just receiving like so much more information when that happens, but not taking things personally is one of the messages in there, and like being very conscious of what you're saying. And they say like what you're saying, but what you're thinking as well. So that's going to change the next steps for you, what you're thinking,
Yeah.
what you're saying out loud. So you're becoming more conscious of those things. You're learning like why you shouldn't take things personally. It's like you're learning about like projection and what that is and stuff like that. And it's all these things that like will make a champion like this like strong mindset guy that like no one can just like break their mind before they compete against them. But it's also making them an incredibly like better person, just becoming more conscious in general. So I think being like athletics or sports also helps people and their character as well.
Yeah, and that's hopefully that's the main goal, right? That's what sports for, is to help us improve as individuals. That's what I always try to say at my camps. It's like, this is great and this is helping us achieve our goals, but like, are we becoming better people through it? And that's the biggest benefit I've gotten through wrestling and fighting, is who I become through it. Because looking back now, it's like, yeah, I achieved some goals and it's awesome, but the man that I became through the ups and the downs, to where now hopefully I can stay on a more middle ground, to where nothing really brings me too high and nothing brings me too low. So I'm just kind of steady, because I know my worth in my relationship with God and my relationship with myself and others. That hopefully that's the main thing, that as you grow, you start to learn like, oh, that's what sports are for.
That's
really
the most important thing, I think.
Yeah.
I think.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, maybe like you take the opposite approach, where you're just like, all right, gold, I'm going to get gold, but I'm going to step on everyone's heads to get there. And then you get it, and then you realize happiness is only real when shared. And then you're there by yourself with your gold medal, but no one wants to be around you. And you get to an older age or something like that, and you're just like, that's going to look really bad as well. So there's I think it's a path. Everyone's trying to figure it out at the same time, but definitely,
for sure.
Yeah.
No, it's well, I'm really grateful that you shared some time with us. I know all of us are, and these are the type of conversations that like we started this podcast for, and so it feels really good to, I guess, get positive reinforcement, also to learn and grow, as we said. But yeah, man, thanks for being willing to share all of that and talk about it, because, like I said, we want to impart that on other people and be able to like bring people up. So it's good.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you guys. Yeah,
Thank you.
It's been honestly a pleasure and a blessing, and like all you guys have been unreal to me. So yeah, the Penn State guys, it's just a whole nother level of like A1 type of humans around here. So it's been I'm really happy to get the opportunity to be here, and appreciate you having me on the pod.
No problem, brother.
Thanks, brother.
All right.
Appreciate you.
See you, everybody.
Peace.